Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Gary here, aka Butcher Boy. That never gets old. Anyway, hey, good morning to everybody. Hope you had a nice New Year's. Mine was pretty low key as it is always. Jump off that box and jump into the new year like I always do. Usually in bed right after midnight. I stay up for the New Year's and then I drop and I go to bed. That's it. I'm done. I'm out for the 8 count. Too old to be staying up that late anymore. Anyway, my my friend Coobs keeps telling me to talk about stuff when I was a kid, because I grew up in Connecticut, and I went to high school in Massachusetts. Even spent a small period of time in Gaithersburg, Maryland. My dad traveled a lot with his job, so we moved all up and down the eastern seaboard. When we ended up in Ohio when I turned 21. And so it's a long story, but that's the short end of it. But my buddy Coobs, we call him Coobs. Me and my buds who know him, everyone loves McCoobry. His last name's McCoobry, but we call him Coobs. And I met Coobs back when I first started with my company. I was only with my company a couple of years, and that's when I met him for the first time. This guy was, he's a trip. He's got his own jargon. He's a West Side boy, you know. I'm an East Side. When I moved to Cincinnati, we moved to the East Side of town. He's a West Side boy, and there's a whole different breed that comes out of the West Side. West Side guys are just, and West Side girls. Of course, I only dated a couple West Side girls since I've been living in Cincinnati. I'll never do that again. They're fucking crazy. They just are. They're just different. But Coobs is one of these kind of guys who take a baseball bat for you. You know, he's one of these loyal friends, and people watching this show, women, men. If you have a friend that's like that, if you have one or two friends that are that kind of loyalty, that would throw down, say, hold my beer, and I kick this guy's ass because he's bugging Gary or giving Gary shit. He would jump over me to kick someone's fucking face in, because that's the kind of friend he is. He just is. He's got your back. Anyone who's a friend of McCoobry, Coobs, he's gonna take him out. You know, he'll fuck him up. And I got another buddy like that. His name's Mark. He's still working. He's a head meat cutter. He's another one that would take a baseball bat for you. So I got two of them like that. I mean, I have a couple other friends that are my age that are loyal, but we're too old to fight, man. We don't do that shit anymore. You know, I'll talk about Coobs a lot more in a different episode, but he's got a way about him, the way he talks and shit like that. And he says to me every time I talk to him on the phone, he goes, hey Gar, you got to talk about the days when you grew up in the Massachusetts area, Gar. You got to talk about those days, Gar. And he calls me that. You know, he doesn't call me Gary. He calls me Gar. Hey, Gar. We'll talk more about that. I'll do another whole episode about horse racing, because he got me in horse racing years ago, and he taught me everything I needed to know about betting. Good old Coobs. Anyway, so he said, he told me, Gary, you got to talk about some of the stories you told me, Gary, about, you know, when you played ice hockey when you were a kid in Connecticut. You got to talk about some of those stories, Gary. You got to talk about how you used to go to Fenway Park when you lived in Massachusetts. You got to talk about stuff like that, Gary. I said, yeah, eventually I will. Which brings me to my subject. I mean, I was never a fighter. I didn't fight. I had friends like McCoobry and my buddy Mark, brawlers. You look at them, if you look at them sideways, you're going to get a knuckle sandwich, those type of people. I mean, cool as a cucumber, but if you instigate something or you get something going, they're going to knock you out. But I was an instigator. I'm going to tell you really quick what I did is, I got my first pair of hockey skates. I started out playing ice hockey when I grew up in Connecticut. I was probably in third grade, and my dad said, he goes, you're not gonna have hockey skates. You'll start out with figure skates, because until you can learn how to, or until you want to adapt to the sport and like the sport, I'm not going to spend the money, because my parents didn't have any money when I was a kid. Just middle class, you know. And just scraping by, raising 4 kids. And so he got me a pair of figure skates that were used, and I learned how to skate. So I had to learn how to skate first and show some ability and able to do it. And I was able to skate. It took me a while, but skating is something you got to learn. It's not hard. It's not easy, but it's something once you learn it, it's like second nature, right? So then I think I was in 4th grade, Christmas, under the Christmas tree. I got my very first pair of Bauer was the brand name, and they still have them out there. Bauer hockey skates. I got my first pair of hockey skates. I was so excited. I ran out in the middle of the streets, cheering to all my friends. I got my pair of hockey skates. Look, I got hockey skates. I was so pumped. I was a kid, And we didn't have any rinks close by in Connecticut. It was a suburb we lived in. But the suburb was surrounded, well, not surrounded, but yeah, well, I can say it was surrounded by mountain ranges. And there was this undeveloped, our suburb was fairly new, and then there was an undeveloped suburb. It was all plots. It went up this hill, which was a mountain. And we walk up, we would explore when we were kids. And there was no houses up there yet. It was all undeveloped. And we would walk up this hill, and we would explore. Well, one time, this was back in, I think 1968, right in there, 1968, 1967, 68, right in there. I was like in 4th grade. And we walked up to this hill. We had our hockey skates tied at one end and draped over our shoulders because we had heard from some teenager boys on our street that there was some lakes up there at the top of the mountain, ponds and lakes that were frozen over. So me and the Bowery boys, there was like 8 of us, all of our pals that played hockey. Because they had these peewee leagues, we were organized hockey. My dad got me involved in organized hockey. So we would play at these high school rinks in the wintertime, and they were peewee leagues. Just to talk about a garage sale. A bunch of kids out in a rink playing organized hockey. They're all going after the puck at the same time. Offsides was on. There was nothing. Offsides? What's offsides? Professional hockey, they'd be blowing the whistle. But it's a pack of kids all going to the corner for the puck. They were. It was a garage sale. We're kids learning how to play hockey, So going back to the story, we get to the top of this mountain. It took us maybe, half hour, 40 minutes to get to the very top of the mountain. The road weaved, and we got to the very top, and we saw this pond. There was a lake, but it was further up. You could see the lake, but in front of us was a pond. And the pond was probably, about the size of a football field. Circumference up. It was a good sized pond. And there was, it wasn't smooth. I mean, there was bumps in it and stuff because it was a natural pond, but it was frozen over. And we said, hey, we could play hockey on this. And so we all we were hunters and gatherers. We were going out into the trees and try to find fallen trees or felled trees. And we would take branches and sticks, pine cones, and we would make a fake perimeter of a hockey rink out there with sticks, branches, pine cones, because there were in Connecticut tons of pine trees, so a lot of pine cones, and then we would try to make the goals on either side out of the branches. So of course, once someone scored, we'd have to readjust the branch, and we learned how to play hockey on ponds, and those are really, really good fond memories when I was a kid. I mean, you have sandlot baseball. We did that too in the summer months. We would find a vacant lot. We played baseball on that, or football. Of course, I didn't play football real well. I couldn't take a hit really well. I was a pussy. I was skinny. I mean, I'm skinny now. I'm still slender, but I was just, there was nothing to me 4th and 5th grade. Good wind would blow me over. But I took to hockey. Well. I wasn't a good hockey player. I'll give you that now. I wasn't a good hockey player. I was bare minimum. I mean, I was just about average. I wasn't real fast. But I had fun playing hockey on the ponds with my friends and peewee hockey at one of the local high schools in Connecticut. And so I think I played hockey up until my sophomore year of high school. And I didn't play first string. I mean, you had the starting squad out there on the ice, and then coach would throw me in every now and then if we were down 4 goals and there was no chance we were going to win. But I wasn't very fast. I played defense. I played back. I mean, the wings and the centers would go up front. They were like mostly offense. The defense was what it was, defense. Sometimes we slapped the puck up there to get some people to feed the puck to them, but we couldn't go over certain lines on the rink. But I was the instigator out there. I was the shit starter. I mean, I was getting beat. These guys, these wings from the other teams and the centers, they come up and they'd be zipping and zooping and all that shit, and they'd go right past me. And by the time they got past me, I was turning around and trying to catch them, and I was getting beat all day long. That's why I didn't play. I was not a great hockey player. I held my own, but when I was up against freshmen and sophomores in high school that'd been playing since they were 2 years old, they could skate like the wind blows. Like, I grew up out east too, but I was not as good as some of these other cats, So, which brings me to, before we go on to present day, what I did do, I would instigate stuff. These guys would try to beat me. They would beat me. These guys would get past me, these wingers, and I would take my stick and I'd stick them. I'd stick them in the back of the leg, or I'd stick them underneath their skate, stick them in the back of their jersey, get them going, piss them off, And I would do it. I would try to do it when the ref wasn't looking. And sometimes the ref would look the other way because I wasn't hitting them hard, but I was, stick them. The old stickaroo. Get them going, And every now and then someone would throw down on me and want to fight. Well, we had cages over. We had a helmet, but on the helmet we had a cage over the front. So you couldn't really fight. Not like they do in the NHL where they throw down a sucker. Really, you get the goons out there throwing haymakers. That's fun watching that. If you ever watch professional hockey, you know what I'm talking about. So no, I was a shit starter out there in the ice, and then once I got it going, I didn't fight. One of my other teammates came in there like brawling. They would take their helmet off, and the other guy and they start brawling. And they didn't want you to brawl at that level of school, like freshman or sophomore, and they would get involved. The rest would get in there and break it up real fast before anyone really got a few punches off. But I didn't. I was just the instigator. I was a shit starter. Good at it too. So anyway, now take present day. This is good. This is a good story. I get to Cincinnati. I'm 21 years old, and I'm making friends. I'm learning the area. I'm making friends, and I made a couple of friends with some of the jobs I had. I was the very, very first job I had was pumping gas, and then the second job I had was being a busboy at a country club. And I got talking to some of these guys that were my age, and they asked me about what my background, where I came from, and they were pretty interested in me because I came from the East Coast, and these guys were all born and bred in Cincinnati. And then they said, "What do you like to do?" I said, "Well, one of the sports I took to, I played golf in high school on the golfing team. I cheated, well, it wasn't that good, but you could cheat. You could cheat in any sport, If you're not good, you got to make up for it. That was my handicap. I would cheat, but you couldn't cheat in hockey, really, not unless you." So this guy said, "Hey, look, they're up in Tri-County, which from where I lived in Cincinnati was about a half an hour, 35-minute ride. There's an ice rink up there called Icelands, and it's still there. They have intramural, I can't say that word, intramural hockey leagues that are formed in the evenings with adults your age. And so I went up. I called them first, and they said, "Yeah, come up on Friday nights. We have open hockey. We form teams on the ice. Just show up." And at this point, I was 22 years old. I came here when I was 21, but around 22, I got into this league. And I went up there, and these guys were all my age, a few years older, but we're all working full time, and they had, and I got to the rink, and all I had was my Bauer skates. I had bought some newer ones when I got to be an adult because of course your feet grow, right? And I always liked Bauer skates. CCM had a really good brand, but the Bauers fit me better. So I get up there. All I had was my skates over my shoulder. I had a sweatshirt on, my hockey gloves, my knee pads, and my helmet. That's it. That's all I came to the rink with. My gloves, You need gloves because people are gonna be smacking their stick around and stuff. You don't want to get hit in the hand, you know. So I wore my gloves, my helmet, my knee pads, knee and shin pads, and that was it. And I walk into this rink. It was kind of a cool rink. It was an old rink. And all these guys were already there practicing. They're in full gear. There's these adults. These guys my age are a little bit older in full gear. They got their favorite team's uniforms on, the pants, the suit, the helmet, the shoulder pads, the waist pads, the rib cage pads. They were in full gear. I'm thinking, what the hell is this shit? I didn't know. I didn't expect that. So I'm lacing up my skates and one of the guys that introduced himself to me, he said, "Hey, welcome to the league, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "We have at this rink, they have you can sharpen your skates over there." Why? I sharpen my own skates at home. My dad taught me at a young age how to sharpen them. It's a grinder. It's like, sparks flying over. I wanted to get them so sharp, they're like a razor blade. And I don't trust a rink to sharpen my skates. My skates are too expensive, thank you very much, for someone to screw them up, trying to sharpen them. When you got some high school kid trying to sharpen your skates, not happening. I know that was a sidebar. I apologize. So mine were like razor thin, razor sharp. And I'm lacing up my skates, and I put my gloves on. I put my shin pads on. I throw my helmet on. I put my mouthpiece in, and I go out to the rink. And all these guys are looking at me, and they're talking. Look at this clown. Look at this clown. He doesn't have any pads on. He's got a sweatshirt on and sweatpants, and look at him. He doesn't have any. Look at him. And I can see him talking about me. I can see him laughing. Look at this clown. Look at this guy. And this one guy skated over to me, and he stopped. And he goes, "Hey, where's your pads?" And I said, "I got them on." He goes, "That's it? You don't have any shoulder pads, any chest pads, nothing, no pants, nothing, no pads, any?" I said, I got my shin pads on. I got my gloves and helmet. What more do I need?" "Oh, yeah, you'll see. He goes, "Oh," I said, "Okay." I said, okay. So I'm just skating around. Just getting warmed up. And every now and then a puck would come to me, and I'd grab it and slap it around, slap it right back at him. You know, I wasn't trying to put on a show. I was just skating around, loosening up. Mind you, it had been at least 2 years since I was on skates, because I didn't play hockey in high school, you know, and I didn't play hockey. I played a little bit of intramural in my junior year, but it was just for fun with a bunch of guys, you know. So I didn't play any organized hockey for at least 2 years. So now I'm just skating around this rink, getting warmed up, and then we all line up and they're choosing sides. I'm thinking, oh, this is kind of rinky dink, you know. Ragtag, this is how you're going to do it? I guess I thought they had teams already, and I was a new guy, but they were picking teams. I was the last guy to get picked because they assumed because I didn't have any pads on or a fucking uniform that I didn't know what I was doing, you know? Oh, man, were they in for a fucking shock. So, and I've told this story to a few people that I've worked with over the years and friends outside of work, and I never forgot. I thought it was a great story. So I'm sitting the bench. I didn't make the first shift. Yeah, I was an extra. It was just me. I was the only extra on the team. So they're out there playing. I'm watching these guys play, and they looked like they were doing a pretty good job. I mean, I saw a lot of offsides going on either side, and these guys looked like they really grew up in Ohio. Didn't really take to sports, and especially in ice hockey. They were just ragtagging it, you know. And so then this would-be team leader says, "Hey, Gary, you want to get out there and play?" I said, "Sure." So why don't you go out on defense? I'm thinking, what is he, a mind reader? I mean, they weren't going to let me play wing. They're going to let me play. I could outskate any of these guys out there. And I was not fast. I was in Connecticut, Massachusetts, I was considered average, an average skater. Out here, I was like lightning fast, and my agility and my balance and everything I could do, I could skate backwards like the wind, you know? I could cross over backwards. I could cross over frontwards. I could hockey stop with the best of them. I could do it all. I could skate better than any of these clowns out there. And I showed them up that day. So they put me out in the rink, and I'm skating around out, and I'm playing behind the blue line. I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to play defense. All right, want to play defense? Hey, we can play defense. And then the part that gets me thrown off the ice is coming up. Down comes this guy, and he's got the puck, and he goes over the red line, and he's coming up to me, and he goes past me, and he slaps the puck behind the goal. Well, as he slaps the puck behind the goal, two of his guys are on the other side of the ice going for the puck. So now they're fighting for the puck. Well, I go in there and I'm going after the puck. So I go behind my goal and I take my stick and I slam my whole body and my stick in a cross check up against three guys from the opposite side of the team. And so it's a garage sale. They hit the glass. Oh! They hit the boards and it's like a garage sale. They hit the ice. And they go down, they go boom, they go, oh, I hurt. And there's like their gloves, helmets, and everything spewed all over, and they blow the whistle. This guy blows the whistle. And he comes back, hey, you're out of here. You're out of here. No checking in this league. That's called checking. If you've never seen ice hockey, it's called checking. When you hit someone, you hit them, they go down. It's called checking. It's legal. And I said, what? You can't check in this league? We're all adults here. I don't have pads on. These clowns are all loaded up. What are they, a bunch of pussies? They threw me off the ice. Threw me off the ice. Didn't even give me a chance to score. Because I was going to go down and score just to make them look bad. Because these guys weren't very good. I have full pads. I got thrown out. That was the first and that was the last time I played hockey or any kind of intramural or organized hockey ever. With other guys. But yeah, threw me off the ice. A cross check is legal. Now, when you bring it up a little higher and you catch them underneath the chin, that's 2 minutes in the penalty box for roughing. But cross checking is legal. I don't think it's legal in NHL hockey, but it's legal in intramural hockey. That's how I played. I was an instigator at cheap shots. But that wasn't a cheap shot that day. I was just going after the puck. And it was a garage sale. These guys were all on the ground crying. You're not supposed to hit me like that. There's no checking in this league. Bunch of pussies, really? Welcome to Ohio. So, that's what I got. So, that's a short video. But I wanted to share it with you today. Because Coobs told me, hey, Gary, you got to talk about the days you were growing up in Connecticut, Gary. That's how he talks. Hey, Gary, let's get some brews. He doesn't call them beers. He calls them brews. Hey, Gary, let's get some more cold brews. That's when I still drank beer. Man, I miss drinking with him. Good friend, Coobs. Anyway, I'll talk all to you later. I got to get going. I got to go see my pops. It's my turn to go see him. You guys have a great afternoon. I'll catch up to you later. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace out.